and our more powerful jinn are called Afrit. As stated previously, the possession of the jinn is often responsible for the worst crimes, the worst acts of impulse, psychological problems, and many physical illnesses. Headaches, insomnia, nightmares, laziness, and antisocial behavior have all been frequently attributed to the influence of jinn. Muslims also believe in the vampiric nature of jinn, claiming that those who sleep in the presence of jinn will wake up tired and depleted. Muslims and members of the occult believe that there is some kind of contract or agreement between our race and the race of jinn. In the occult, this contract is referred to as the covenant. This covenant allows humans to use words of power and thoughts to command the demons. For example, the phrase Bismillah is used by Muslims to cleanse food, water, and even whole rooms of demonic influence. I have heard occult writers remark that this covenant, which was formed between the human and demon races, is the result of the trace amounts of demonic blood found in all people. And it is this blood tie that allows humans, using magic, to master and command our ancestors. Muslims believe that the jinn have been barred from the heavens. Jinn may only stay in the celestial regions for so long before the lack of something to stand on forces them to fall back to earth. They believe that the falling or shooting stars are jinn who have been attacked by angels and forced to plummet back to earth. Today, it is part of popular culture to make a wish when witnessing a falling star. Since making a wish is something you're encouraged to do upon meeting a genie, it is likely that this tradition of making a wish when witnessing a falling star is based on the Muslim belief that shooting stars are genies. Naturally, Muslims are prohibited from making a wish upon seeing a shooting star, and are further prohibited from employing the aid or services of demons. Muslims believe that the jinn mostly prefer to live in places far from the habitation of humans, but the human-looking demons may choose to live among mankind. Jinn are believed to live in places such as oceans, caves, underground, and in the sky, and may even be inclined to occupy dirty places such as landfills and bathrooms. Some jinn, if not all, are capable of reproduction. Followers of Islam are discouraged from keeping dirty and unsanitary living quarters, as it is claimed that these habits attract jinn into the household. Holy water, which is simply water that has had certain prayers uttered over it, is also used to cleanse a room of jinn and their influence. But there is one jinn you can't just cleanse away, and that is the jinn that was assigned to you at birth. The Muslims, like many in the occult, say that each person is assigned a demon and an angel at birth. This combination of angel and demon in your relationship to them is the true source of much of your personality. Christians only believe in guardian angels because the guardian demon is not mentioned in the Bible, to my knowledge anyways. The next classification that those in the spirit world fall into is called larvae. Larvae, sometimes called thought forms, are the parasites of the spirit world. These parasitic entities are the direct creation of the desires of man. When a person concentrates on a single thought, a larva is formed. Many times, a thought form will die and dissipate the moment that person's attentions are directed elsewhere. But if the individual is consumed by that thought or desire, the larva will continue to grow. Like vampiric spirits, these non-sentient larvae feed from the very thoughts that created it, and will often induce this thought in the mind of its host in order to feed. These beings are not intelligent and cannot be commanded, only banished. The only trace of intellect they display is a sense of self-preservation. These larvae feed upon the life force of their host and continue to steal his vitality until he no longer feeds the being with obsessive thoughts thoughts which are usually negative in nature. These beings have no function to humans, whether that function is magical or otherwise. These thought forms, which are concentrations of spiritual energy, can flake off of people and can cling to other people and even objects. In this way, can a person accumulate a sinful nature and places accumulate a bad vibe. This concept of the thought form is, however, a bit more complicated than spiritual insects. This is in no small part related to the fact that thought forms can be projected. These thought projections are a part of our lives in a subtle yet real way. The deliberate projection of a thought form from one mind to another is most commonly known as telepathy. There are certain people that can walk into a room and send the mood of the room into deep freeze, and there are others who can lighten any atmosphere. Humans, and even non-humans, will subconsciously sense the nature of a particular aura and act on that sense in very conscious ways. How many times have thoughts of someone you know come into your mind moments before you received a call from them? Some of these instances are coincidence, in that the people who we often receive phone calls from are the very same who are often on our minds. In other cases, especially when the thought of that person came abruptly and did not evolve into being, as most day-to-day thoughts do, you may have experienced the phenomena of telepathy. The idea of the evil eye pervades many cultures to this day. The evil eye is the sending of malicious and hurtful thoughts through an intentional act of telepathy. Being unaware of the source of these malicious feelings, the recipient of these negative thoughts often interprets and responds to the messages with self-hatred. The recipient isn't the only one who will feel the pain of this attack, however, because the sender is feeding his own larva. Further, the recipient may have an unconscious urge to begin thinking negative thoughts about the sender, which can cause physical and emotional damage to the original sender. Most religions warn against thinking negative thoughts about other people or cursing others under your breath. There is perhaps a good reason for this advice. Telepathy, a projection in the world of thoughts and dreams, does not respect our notion of space and in no way hinges on the distance between the subjects. As with most forms of magic, I'm told a vegetarian diet facilitates telepathic sensitivity. The middle pillar ritual, detailed earlier, is a far more solid way to increase one's sending and receiving capabilities. I have also heard of thought embedding, where an object is charged with the energies of a certain thought form. The object then becomes a receptacle for a deliberately created larva. The methods behind embedding a thought into someone else's mind and embedding it into an object are largely the same. The last kind of spirit is angels. Angels are holy and completely dedicated to the service of the light, or God. In this, I speak of only the angels who remain loyal to God, as opposed to the fallen angels, who I clumped into the demon category as those who wander or reach out from the infernal realms. In magical rituals, angels cannot be commanded to perform jobs that are adverse to their character. Any command given to an angel will be handed down to lesser spirits. Of the many angels and archangels, 4 reign supreme: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. As stated earlier, each person is assigned a guardian angel at birth, and it is the duty of this angel to counteract the negative whispering which stream from that person's demonic counterpart. This guardian angel is not entirely a separate being, but merely another part of the whole. It is this being who is separated from the whole by the veil that represents each person's direct connection to God. This entity does not tell lies, nor commandeer free will. Contrary to popular belief, this being is solely interested in your spiritual fate and does not concern itself with your mortal fate. Put simply, if your soul is more likely to enter into heaven by dying today, rather than years from now, your guardian angel will do nothing to spare you from today's danger. Self-preservation is, in many ways, the duty of your tutelary demon rather than your guardian angel. it is important not to confuse the light, which represents the guardian angel or God himself, with the light bringer, which is Prometheus. This balance of angel, demon, and man is the perfect way of ensuring free will, all while keeping man neck deep in a spiritual game. If the tutelary demon or guardian demon were to gain undue control over the wills of an individual, the result would be a decline in moral character, physical, and mental health. This being, which drives us to selfishness, greed, and base ambitions such as sex and power, is also responsible for many of the acts of our lives we call achievements. Pragmatism is the true way of our guardian demons. People who are under strong demonic influence are mean, distant, selfish, and disloyal. They are strangers to charity, because in the back of their mind is always the voice saying, "What's in it for me?" These individuals will also exhibit many self-destructive behaviors like drug use, promiscuous sex, overeating, gambling, etc. Individuals who are strongly under the influence of their guardian angel are gentle and unambitious. They will extend their resources to others with one act of charity after another until they've made themselves destitute. Their distaste for conflict makes them virtually defenseless, and their unwillingness to gain power over others leaves their sphere of influence extremely limited. They have a jovial spirit that not even the most dire conditions can crush, and are often treated with kindness, even by unkind people. Sending thoughts from one person to another can be done in multiple ways, even unconsciously, as stated earlier. If you were attempting telepathy, I would recommend you use multiple methods to achieve this. In order to use telepathy to implant thoughts, you must first understand this. Each person has a part of their body on every plane of existence, reaching all the way up to God himself. Telepathy is communication on the astral plane. The astral plane does not respect our sense of space and distances, yet still has separate locations. Like the internet parallel that I illustrated earlier, each of these locations can be accessed by a single mind. In the astral world, to imagine a thing is to access its location, and it is this location that you will direct your thoughts. Detailed visualizations of the target person or object must not be neglected. This is even more important than the method of thought transfer. First, imagine the person in the sharpest possible detail sitting in front of you. Begin to tell the person your thoughts, the command or message, and explain what you want them to do and why they should do it. Second, imagine yourself in their body, sitting in front of you, as if you've moved your consciousness and awareness into the target. After moving your consciousness into the target, you should then visualize looking back at yourself through their eyes. Imagine yourself detailing the command or message through their eyes. Imagine them complying to your demands. Third, imagine the command or message as a ball of energy or an image, and imagine that energy or image being inserted into the target person or object. The best way to communicate using telepathy is a Morse code system. In this system, the recipient must be ready to listen and must also know when one message ends and another begins. Find two index cards, and on them draw two completely different shapes. These shapes must be different in every possible way. I recommend drawing a large, solid black circle on one card and a red X or plus sign on the other card, or perhaps an imperfect shape. Then, using the same techniques outlined earlier, begin sending a description of the shape on the card you currently hold. Avoid using telepathic negatives such as, "It is not solid," "It is not black," "It is not round." Confine your description to what the shape is, rather than what the shape isn't. When trying to send the shape drawn on one card, keep the shape drawn on the other card completely out of your mind. To transmit a certain shape, begin describing that shape in every possible way. For example, when transmitting the shape of the red X card, send concepts like red has straight lines. Members of the occult believe that there is some kind of contract or agreement between our race and the race of Jinn. In the occult, this contract is referred to as the covenant. This covenant allows humans to use words of power and thoughts to command the demons. Amounts of demonic blood found in all people. And it is this blood tie that allows humans, using magic, to master and command our ancestors. Muslims believe that the jinn have been barred from the heavens. Jinn may only stay. Laziness and antisocial behavior have all been frequently attributed to the influence of jinn. Muslims also believe in the vampiric nature of jinn, claiming that those who sleep in the presence of jinn will wake up tired and depleted. Muslims and our more powerful jinn are called Afrit. As stated previously, the possession of the jinn is often responsible for the worst crimes, the worst acts of impulse, psychological problems, and many physical illnesses, headaches, insomnia, nightmares. For example, the phrase Bismillah is used by Muslims to cleanse food, water, and even whole rooms of demonic influence. I have heard occult writers remark that this covenant, which was formed between the human and demon races, is the result of the trace